Hell yeah, they should be scared.
I was just saying, it's such a dumb question for a whole bunch of people
I'm worried as hell
Antonio.
because you want to know why, Dave? Look at the stats from last night. Let me read them to you. Miami probably played the best game they're going to play. And that's just a fact. And when I read you these, when I read you why, I think you'll get it.
Well, that's what Magic Johnson said after the game. He's like, they played a great basketball game and lost. Spurs
really
can get
did.
better. I don't think Miami can.
No.
Those are direct quotes from Magic Johnson
Miami.
after the game.
LeBron, 7 of 16, 18 rebounds, 10 assists, 18 points.
10th career triple-double.
Triple-double. Wade, 7 of 15, 17 points. He's probably not going to shoot much better than that. That's about 50%.
Only 4 points in the second half.
But probably the best he's going to shoot.
I'm just saying, though. He
Bosh,
scored 13
6
in
of
the
16.
first, only 4 in the second.
6 of 16. It's about what you're going to get out of him. Chalmers was the worst on the team at 3 for 10. Haslam, 1 for 1. Ray Allen, 3 for 4. Mike Miller, 2 for 3. Nate Cole, 2 for 4. Birdman, 3 for 5. They probably played to their potential last night. And it wasn't enough. It's not going to be enough to beat this Spurs team. Like I said, I still don't think it's sweet. I think Miami gets a game or two. But even with the Spurs not playing as well, I mean, Ginobili only 4 of 11. Danny Green 4 of 9. Kawhi Leonard 3 of 9. Neal 3 of 9.
Oh, yeah, Danny Green and Leonard couldn't hit they had a bunch of wide open threes, couldn't hit them. And yet, when it was all said and done, it didn't matter.
I mean, if you just looked at, Miami held the Spurs to 42% shooting and still couldn't win the game. Bottom line, and this is what I kept trying to tell who I was tweeting back and forth with last night on Twitter, is that the Heat just got beat by a better team. There's no other way to put it. The Heat played well. There's nothing I can look at and say the Heat, well, I mean, other than the 4 turnovers in the fourth.
5.
Or 5 turnovers,
5 turnovers
in the fourth.
by Miami in the fourth, while San Antonio only turns it over 4 times for the entire game.
Well, I'm just saying, they turned it over 5 times in the fourth, so maybe they could work on that. Other than that, they played their best game. And regardless of whether Bosh hits that shot or not, you want to know what? The Spurs still had the lead. So I'm not blaming LeBron or Bosh for that play. Listen, I would have made that same pass if I was LeBron. I drove it inside, the defense collapsed, and Bosh was standing there wide open. Now, is that the shot you want to take? No. Would you have rather somebody else in that spot? Yes.
But why wouldn't he drive?
Open.
Why wouldn't you drive the hole? Why wouldn't you put the onus on the refs, try to make them call a foul? I mean, what he shoots.
What does a foul get across? I understand.
Stop the clock and score points without the clock moving. I mean, what else can you ask for when you're trailing with under a minute and a half left? You want to score with the clock not moving.
I don't think it would have made a difference either way. The way I looked at it, the Heat were already done by that point.
But I'm just saying, though.
And you saw it.
No, he should not be shooting those shots.
I'm guessing that, listen, he shot those shots all playoffs long. Now, granted, he's better from the corner than he is from the wing. He shouldn't be shooting out on the wing. If he's going to take a 3, it should be from the corner. I'm not denying that. But the man was wide open. I'm sorry. If I'm LeBron, I'm passing that ball to my wide open teammate every single time. If he had a defender on him, if he had somebody in his face, that's a different story. He had nobody near him. And I understand that maybe they left him alone that way for a purpose.
Of course they did.
I don't see it that way. I see it as LeBron drove the hole, the defense collapsed, and he kicked it out.
I disagree with you on that one. Popovich blatantly is more than okay with Chris Bosh chucking up threes all game long.
Of course he is.
Go for it. So they're going to double off of him all series long. And unless Bosh moves in, this series could be a sweep because they're going to do that all series. They're going to leave Bosh standing at the three-point line all series long.
And rightfully they should.
And they
listen, all I'm saying is in that moment at that time, I would have made the same pass.
And the pass is fine, but the shot is the problem. The pass is fine, but Bosh needs to be smarter than that. He shoots 6 of 16 from the floor, 0 for 4 from 3. You take out his 4 3-point attempts, and he's a 50% shooter. He had a nice little play where he made a spin move and gets to the hole and lays it in. He shoots anything between a 15 and 18-foot jumper, and the guy is pretty much money with it. But yet, he decides he wants to drift a little bit farther back. All you got to do is move up 3 feet, 4 feet. They're still leaving you open. Like you said, they're going to crash on LeBron driving the hole. They'd rather him kick out for a jump shot than LeBron get a layup. So all Bosh has to do is move in 3, 4 feet. And that jump shot he's shooting is such a higher percentage.
If he moves in 3 or 4 feet, he's not as wide open.
But
he's
it's
going
still
to have a defender in his face.
That shot contested is a higher percentage shot for him than a wing three-pointer from almost 24 feet away from the hoop.
But my point is, regardless of whether he makes that shot or not, regardless of whether LeBron made a layup, this was the Spurs game. The Spurs still would have had the lead, regardless of how many points were scored on that possession, whether it be a 3 or 2. The Spurs would have still been up by 1 or by 2.
I won't argue. This game came down to a hell of a lot more than just that shot. It came down to way more than that. Like I said,
the Spurs had this thing in control from the beginning. All they did is keep it close. There was never a bigger than a 10-point, an 8 or 9-point lead.
9 was the biggest lead for Miami the whole game.
Miami. The Spurs didn't even care about leading the game, honestly. I mean, they could care less until the fourth quarter came around, and you could tell there was a timeout. I think Popovich took with about 8 or 9 minutes left. When they came back out of that timeout, that's when they flipped the switch. This was the Spurs game in control the whole time. They just sat here and said, let's just keep it close. Let's just play a nice, easy pace. Kept it close all game long, and in the fourth quarter, they said, all right, it's about that time. And then once they got the lead, they never gave it back.
Parker misses that shot. It's a 2-point game with 5 seconds left.
Parker ain't missing that shot, though. That's the difference.
No? He's not missing a shot that he ended up on the ground, had to get up.
No.
Pump fake LeBron, rotate on his pivot foot,
you
chuck
just
it up.
knew it. If you were watching,
a 1/100th of a second later release, and the shot doesn't even count.
I understand.
That shot was a huge shot in a huge moment.
In a huge moment, but that's why he's a superstar. That's why he was in the MVP voting.
21 points for the game, 10 of them in the fourth quarter. Miami shot only 70% from the free throw line, only 32% from 3.
Yeah,
but then you got San Antonio shooting a low percentage from 3 too. So I'm not even going to say that was a difference maker. But
you say that, but in the fourth, when it mattered the most, Ray Allen did drill 3 in a row, and LeBron did hit 2 clutch free throws as well down the stretch. Not blaming it on their 70% free throw shooting, because when it came time to hit him in the fourth, they hit him in the fourth.
You know, it's funny.
He just got beat by a better team. That's just the flat-out bottom line.
Well, I mean,
they got beat inside by Duncan. Duncan just, I mean, honestly, anytime they want to throw it in the paint, they can throw it into him. 20 points. He had 12 in the second quarter. I mean, the second quarter, he just dominated. He owned it himself. I mean, even down to where Pop put him in with, I don't know, you've probably at least seen the replay of it, but put him in, like, right before half. I think
the 0.8 seconds? Yeah, 0.8 seconds.
And literally tossed it in, and he drills it, because that's what he's like, I'm Tim Duncan.
Timmy!
14 rebounds, had a monster game.
3
Parker,
blocks.
like we talked about on the ride, they could put LeBron on him, but he's just going to bring the ball up the court, pass it, run through about 3 or 4 screens, come back up to the top of the key, catch the ball. Somebody's going to set a pick or 2 for him, and he's going to be gone, and LeBron's going to be off of him.
And that's the thing, because it's like a situation where, and it was funny because watching that as a Bulls fan, I remember when Chicago had a chance to, played Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years ago, and LeBron switched to Rose, and it just shut down Chicago's offense. And as a Bulls fan, I sat there and I watched that, and I'm like, this is how you beat LeBron guarding your best player. You make him chase that little SOB around that is fast as all hell, and then set picks for him when he gets the ball back. And sooner or later, LeBron is A, off of him, or B, tired as hell already on that possession, and you're only 6-7 seconds into the shot clock. And that's what Parker and San Antonio did, and I'm telling you, Popovich had that planned 8 days ago. He knew he was going to do that 8 days ago. It's like LeBron, they're going to put LeBron on Tony at one point or another, and this is how we're going to get past that. That was, and that's the funny thing. If San Antonio loses this game, people are talking about, well, they were rusty, they had to get their, they had to get their legs back under them, they haven't played in a while. But instead, they win the game, they looked rested, they looked relaxed, and when the fourth quarter come, they had the fresh legs. Miami didn't. LeBron with some big turnovers in the fourth quarter. And I agree with you. The bottom line of this entire situation of last night was the better team won the game. And I agree with you. I don't think San Antonio was worried when they were down 9, when they were down 5, 4, 7, 6. It didn't matter to them. They got it within 1 4 or 5 times. They weren't able to take the lead. Fourth quarter came, and they were ready. And they took the lead. And then my favorite number from last night is the number 7. The Spurs are 7-1 on the road in these playoffs. They have 7 wins in a row, and they outscored Miami by 7 points in the fourth quarter to take the 4-point win. San Antonio executed flawlessly yesterday. And the funny thing is, we talk about 4 turnovers for the entire game.
You say executed flawlessly, they still only shot 42%.
Shots don't always go in, but they had their open shots. I mean, Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard, I watched miss at least 5 wide open three-pointers that they usually don't miss.
Miami did play good defense yesterday. Like I said, Miami probably played the best game they're going to play. I can't imagine them playing a better game than that. With the way Ray Allen's been shooting, for him to go 3 of 4, he hasn't done that much lately. Mike Miller, 2 of 3. I could see that happening, but they need to get him more involved, I think. Bosch, I really don't see him shooting much better than that. Like you said, I mean, you take out the three-pointers, he's a 50% shooter from the field. He hasn't done that all playoffs. Wade.
Well, they go 1 for 7 between Wade and Bosch in the fourth quarter. That doesn't help. Like I said, Wade scored 13 in the first half. Looked like Dwayne Wade of old. I mean, literally looked like Dwayne Wade of old. And then scores only 4 points in the second half. San Antonio made the adjustment that they literally were just doubling off of Bosch the entire second half. Whenever Wade or LeBron got the ball, they doubled off of Bosch and left him standing out there. Go for it. And they played the percentages. And that's just proof of Pop being a great head coach. He played the percentage.
That's just common sense, though. You leave him wide open because he's a 7-footer who you don't care if he shoots from outside. That's common sense. That's not just Pop. That's any coach who would have told you.
Well, one of the, like I said, what I was trying to say before is, we sit here and we're like, I am beyond impressed by only 4 turnovers in a basketball game, especially NBA Finals, especially on the road, especially against a team that can play defense like Miami. A lot of people may not remember this, but San Antonio won the tip and on their first possession turned over the ball. Didn't even get a shot off. Tim Duncan tried to force a pass down low. It got tipped, deflected, and led to a Dwayne Wade dunk that put Miami up 2-0. San Antonio responded with a 9-0 run. This was a game when it first started, you're like, uh-oh, Miami. And then, like I said, their last lead before the fourth quarter was like 19-18 at like the halfway mark of the first quarter.
Yeah.
Then they trailed the rest of the game, took the lead in the fourth quarter.
They didn't care because they just kept it close. They did what they had to do. They never let Miami get too far ahead, never let them fully gain momentum, and just kept it close. They just said, listen, we play this team close till we get to the fourth, and it's ours. I'm telling you. From what I watched that game, as it hit halftime, I'm like, not even worried. Spurs just look like the better team to me. Second half, Miami just, kept pace, kept the lead, got into the fourth. Like I said, there was a timeout with like 8 or 9 minutes left. And after that timeout, that's when everything started changing. That's when San Antonio gained the momentum, got the lead back with about 4 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go, somewhere in that realm, and never gave it back. To me, they were never even close to giving it back. I understand the score might say something different, but to me, especially down the stretch, San Antonio was in control. They weren't wild with their passes. They weren't erratic. They were very methodical. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. And they, like you said before, they just executed it. Down the stretch of the game was all them.
I completely agree. And
Miami looked like the erratic team. Miami looks, like they weren't quite right. I still think that that's the best game the Heat's probably going to play against this team.
See, I don't know. I agree with the comments made by Magic in a sense that they did play a great basketball game and lost. But I don't agree with the fact that Miami can't. I think Miami can play better. I think they can play better defensively. They had 9 fast break points in the first half, had 0 in the second half.
Or can they play better defensively when they already held them 42% on the field?
Like I said, San Antonio was held to 42%, but they were missing wide open shots. Miami can play better defensively. Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard are not the two guys you should be leaving wide open in the corner for threes. And they did it for the entire second half. Do I think Miami's game is going to, could be leaps and bounds better? No. I'm not trying to say that, but I do think they can play a little better. I think they can force more than 4 turnovers.
Saying for the most part, they're not going to play a better game. I realize LeBron could score more than 18 points. I realize they could do minor things a little bit differently. I'm saying for the most part, what'd they shoot percentage-wise?
San Antonio?
No. I know they shot 42%. What'd Miami shoot?
Miami shot only 70% from the free throw line. They were 32% from 3. And as a team, they shot 43%.
Okay. They could probably do slightly better than that, but I don't think they're going to do much better than that in this series.
Well, you'd like to see better from the free throw line. But then again, I mean, when you look at the guys who shot free throws, none of them shot individually. I mean, LeBron 3 of 4, Wade 3 of 4, Ray Allen 4 of 5. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at them individually, I mean, you can't even sit here and be like, he shot bad. It's just when you rack up each loss or each miss as a team, then you're like, oh, you only shot 70%. But come on, I mean, I can't look at LeBron. I mean, yeah, you'd like him to go 4 for 4, but 3 of 4, you're not going to sit here and tear somebody apart for shooting 3 or 4 from the free throw line. I think what shocks me the most is the fact that, you sit here, you get LeBron 16 shots, Bosh 16 shots, Wade 15 shots. That's a solid distribution. Yet Chalmers gets 10, he only makes 3. Not that good. Like, I sit here and look at the box score, and to me, I'm just like...
Yeah, but that's also why Chalmers got benched at the end of the game. And they went with Ray Allen, Mike Miller, LeBron, Bosh, and Wade.
Yes. And I also think Norris Cole could probably play a little more. He looked all right.
He can't guard Parker, though.
Miami doesn't have anybody that can guard Parker. They don't have a single guy in that backcourt that can guard Parker. So
I don't really think they have anybody who can guard Duncan either. I'll be honest. Really guard him this series.
For the length of a game, I agree. Possession, if we're going to go possession by possession, guys can get lucky. I mean, but the bottom line of the situation is I agree with you. With the fact of the matter is the better team looked better and won the game.
Yeah.
They really did. And I was... It's hard to sit here and say LeBron pulls down 18 boards, 18 points, 10 assists, and Miami still loses.
Not that... it is and it isn't. with the way Miami's been playing lately, he's had to do everything, and the only thing he didn't do tonight was put up 30 or more. Maybe that's something they change. Maybe instead of getting 16 shots, he takes 20 or 25 next game. Take some from Chalmers, you know?
It'll be interesting. I mean, part of me wants to sit here and go with the mindset of Miami really could be in trouble with how they played last night and still losing. And then another part of me is like, last 2 years in a row, the team that won the finals lost game one. So you're like, well, how much weight does game one hold in a 2-3-2 format? And I have a hard time believing Miami's not going to win at least one of those three in San Antonio. I really don't know who I want to take in game two. Like I'm still not sold on San Antonio just, wiping the floor with them. I can't call this a sweep. I still think it goes 6.
I think if the Heat are going to get a game, they get game 2. I think they get game 2, and then they got to try and steal one in San Antonio to keep things alive and get it back to Miami for game 6. It's a 2-3-2 format. They're not out of it if they could get they need to get at least one of these. They need to get game 2 is what they have to get first. Game 2 is almost a must-win. And then you have to look at it as we have to get one of the next 3 in San Antonio and make sure we get it back to our building.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. I mean, I heard some analysts sit there and say, I think Miami takes game 2, and then San Antonio takes the 3 in a row, and San Antonio wraps it up in 5. And, there's still analysts out there that think Miami's going to win this. I mean, my gut tells me this series still goes 6 games. It's still won by San Antonio, and that's what I'm going to stick with. But I could see almost any of these scenarios unfolding. Based on how last night went, I could see a sweep by San Antonio. Based on how last night went, I could see it in 5. I could see Miami fixing a couple different things, and San Antonio continuing to miss open shots, and Miami stealing a couple games. Like, I could see it going so many different ways. I hope this series is like every game is like last night. I really do. It was so much fun to watch 2 really good teams go against each other. Probably the 2 healthiest teams in the entire NBA. It was a lot of fun. Last night's game was just a lot of fun to watch, and then obviously enjoyed it even more because I don't like Miami, so it was fun to watch San Antonio beat them. I agree with Pixel Junkie's comment. Game 2 is a Heat Game 7.
Yeah, can't go down 0-2, especially the first 2 in your building.
No.
Can't do it.
No. That leads to a lot of bad things.
Looking ahead, I mean, LeBron's already given you a triple-double. Does he have to pretty much do that every game and add more to it in order for this team to win? Like, who else is going to step up? Who can step up and do something for this team? Because we've been waiting all postseason for Wade and Bosh to really, be the superstars that everybody expects them to be. And really, they've played more like stars than superstars. They've played more like, they haven't lived up to the billing. Who's going to be the key guy for them other than Wade and Bosh? Because obviously, whether it be Wade's knee that's bothering him too much, and I have no idea what's going on in Bosh's head. Who is this guy? Who is the person for Miami that steps up? Who does it?
I think you're going to see, I think they hope to see Chalmers play a little bit better. But if I'm going to pick one guy, I'm going to have to say, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm going to go with Chris Anderson. just because of the defense and the rebounding. Not because of the offense, but for the defense and the rebounding. You got guys that can score. They have guys that can score all over the place on Miami. But they don't have a lot of guys that are going to get physical down low, and they don't have a lot of guys that are going to grab rebounds. Look.
So then do you have to up his minutes? I mean, he only played 13 minutes.
I would consider it. You shouldn't need LeBron to grab 18 rebounds. Not saying it's a problem that he did it, but you shouldn't need him to do that.
Only 5 rebounds.
Again, because he's hanging out at the three-point line.
No, but that's offense. Even defensively, he's got to find a way to grab rebounds on the defensive end of the floor. LeBron's not grabbing 18 rebounds offensively. He's got to get more involved down low on the defensive side of the floor.
Miami is definitely in a situation where somebody else has to step up. You know what LeBron's going to give you everything he's got. I'm past the days of sitting here saying LeBron disappears in big moments. I'm past the days of beating him up for that kind of stuff. Bottom line is, LeBron's going to give you everything he can. Sometimes he's a little more passive than he should be when he should be more aggressive offensively when it comes down to getting his own shot, because honestly, there's nobody in the NBA that can stop him from getting his own shot. One-on-one, individually, there's nobody in the NBA that can do it. So you have to have somebody else that's going to make shots for you. And Dwayne Wade looked like the Dwayne Wade of old in the first half, and then pretty much goes incognito for the entire second half. You can't have that happen. You just can't. I mean, there's a reason Miami had the lead in the first half. There's a reason Miami had that lead for the majority of the first half. Because Dwayne Wade was playing well. Bosh was shooting jumpers.
Majority of the second half.
But when you go cold and you don't make your shots, or you're not taking shots, then you end up exactly where they ended up.
To me, they just got beat by the better team. I think it's literally that simple. The Spurs were the rested team. They were the better team. They were the smarter team when it came all said and done. And I realize LeBron has a very high basketball IQ, but they were just a smarter team, San Antonio. There's a spot, I think it was, I forget whether it was the third or fourth quarter, and somehow LeBron actually got switched up and matched up on Parker. Parker had to defend LeBron, and he was out towards the wing. And instead of Parker trying to D-up LeBron and them having to bring a double team, Parker just flat out fouled him in the open court, knowing they still had a foul to give. Why'd he do that? So he didn't have to be matched up on LeBron, and LeBron didn't get to go to the free throw line. This way they also didn't double him so they can kick it out to Ray Allen or Mike Miller. It was a very, very smart basketball play. A foul, but it was a very smart foul. It's the type of foul you want your guy to take. Just took it so that they can get side out and they can get Kawhi Leonard matched up back up on LeBron. Just smart. They were just smarter and one step ahead of Miami in every way last night. I'm telling you, they didn't panic. They never looked nervous.
No.
They looked like they were in complete control. Even when Miami had the lead, San Antonio had the demeanor that they were in control.
Yeah, they did.
They never looked panicked. They never looked rushed. They never had that nervous energy about them.
No. And that was the thing, too. They had the same facial expressions when they were up 9-2 and Miami called timeout that they did when they were down by 9, that they did when it was tied, that they did when they finally took the lead in the fourth. They carry... Look, Tony Parker may be the little engine that carries this team. At this point, he may be what everything focuses around on this team. But this team still carries the Tim Duncan mentality. You don't get too high. You don't get too low. You play the game of basketball, and when it's all said and done, that's when you can smile or that's when you can be pissed off. But you let the game unfold. And they carry Tim Duncan's attitude and his mindset. I mean, come on. When he hit that little jumper at the end of the first half with, zero point 0.8 seconds left, he didn't look happy. He didn't look mad.
He wasn't celebrating.
No.
He was just like, all right, halftime.
He turned around and walked off the court. And that entire team carries that mentality.